Welcome back. Welcome back. Good afternoon. Got about a minute until close. Nothing much. Nothing much new. Everything's been trading pretty flat through the end of the day. Good some things. Catching some bid. Tech been catching bid. Catching back up today. Retail stores continue from earlier. Travel continues from earlier. Here's tech getting a continuation. 30 seconds. See it everywhere though, right? So it's not one way. It's not one way. Whole market. Why? Continuation from the risk on mentality last week, right? See here in tech as well. Small caps. All over, right? Dow a little bit further ahead. NASDAQ putting a couple more points on, catching up. A few seconds here. We'll break down the day. Not expecting anything, so. Looking pretty normal there, close. Okay. Today. What happened today, folks? Well, we started the day pretty damn hot on the value side, travel in particular, and a little bit of rotation from the more trending, slower moving value of banks, energy, not so much REITs, but those two in particular, those benchmarks that we use. Some of that value coming over towards the more momentum side of travel, a little bit more tailored towards, I would say, risk, right? A little bit more risk involved with travel. So we saw a lot there. So that was the big thing to start today. Also, pot stocks getting a lot of demand, which we saw. GRWG continues. Again, this is about 60% from where we bought back 2 Fridays ago, March 5th. It was 10 days ago. It's an absurd amount of points. Now, the Cosa Nostra accounts on CGC, that finished up $1,800 today. I'll take a screenshot for you guys in a little bit. $1,800 on CGC. We barely moved on the underlying. It's barely moved. About 4% today. And it broke through supply finally. So that's where a lot of the value is coming from. But you'd have to imagine as this gets momentum, it'll certainly put some points on, right? So travel, pot stocks, what else? Retail stores. All of our retail stores continue. Something like Macy's, we've been talking about for a while. Through all of here, we were expecting a move. We finally got it last week, and it continues this week. Important to be able to keep pushing these positions, not to get pushed out of this position for some sort of, well, I've got a few 100%. That's enough for me. I don't need any more. Well, that'd be a really silly way to approach it, right? That's not a very good way to approach things. So continuing to push these winnings, certainly getting points. Meme stocks today. The meme economy, strong with the gamma squeeze from March monthlies. Continuing today. AMC, Triple BY, GME not so much. GME not so much. We saw the GME tightening earlier around the open. I was saying a little bit too much tightening. You can tell the difference between these two. If we go over here, let me show you the 15 minutes. So here it is, the opening of today, right? So coming from close into open here, this tightening right here, leading into downside. You look at the difference here. What's the difference? It's pretty obvious, isn't it? Isn't it pretty obvious to tell the difference? It is pretty obvious, right? That tightening that started from open on the GME side, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. You need that for a gamma squeeze, and for that move to continue, it needs to be moving. And that's what this week's really going to be about, is that constant movement. Even through lunch, there needs to be movement, upside momentum, or else there's nothing. There's nothing there. And so even tomorrow, if this stops, then this is going to come down, right? You need constant movement for that to continue. Now, a couple trades that I put out earlier, CCJ coming into the trend line here. That's again, we're trading things that are leading into trend lines. You don't wait for it to reach the trend line. You trade it to the trend line. So around here at 17.5, talked about it. There it is. LC continues as well. Important to be able to push this trade. GoPro is another from last week. Talked about the trend line. Once it's within the channel, it's a lot easier to trade it, right? Push it. You don't have to do anything. Once it's in the channel, now you have pretty clear understanding of, okay, I've got support, resistance, going to trade up to the level. This has been a very fun trade from $8. A lot of different ways you can do it. And again, you could just be in and out each day as well. There's not really a, well, you should have stayed on it. That's not really what's going on there, right? Now, a couple of retail stores on the food and beverage side, things like Shack, been looking for these charts to become a little bit more bullish than even the rest of the retail stores. So, we talked about like Dirty Denny's, a little silly of a trade, but the reason in being, again, retail stores in that side of things, opening up the economy, that idea, it is getting some, and that's what people will look towards. Like, that's just the reason why travel's looking so well, right? The biggest trade for me today in terms of getting confirmation was GE. Buying on the pullback down here seems a little, it is a little ridiculous, but again, it's a little ridiculous to oversell it this much. So there's two ends of that spectrum to say, well, you shouldn't be buying on, this big of a fall. Let's see, from high to low, 17% is a pretty big amount. Right? It's pretty large. I would usually tell you not to do that. Why do we do this? Well, first of all, the aerospace and defense sector's very bullish. Very bullish. We know there's a big convergence. GE is also one of those tickers that's on the value side, and it's right where we want it. And it's one of the leaders that we had. This was being oversold from a news event. We don't trade news. We take advantage of what happens, maybe what transpires of buying and selling, supply and demand. Well, we lost a whole bunch of demand, added a bunch of supply, a bunch of sellers, had some levels. We broke through both of those today. 6% on this move today. We had 2.5 on Friday. It's enough for me. That's enough for me to start. It's a ton of points there. Why? Because you're betting on something happening when everyone else is expecting something else to happen. When everyone's selling, they're not expecting price to come right back. Otherwise, they wouldn't be selling. The same people that are selling through here are going to be buying over here. The same people, right? The same people. So this is a very, good confirmation, but it's also another situation where you can take advantage of this situation. You have to be buying. You have to be buying here, right? If you're trading within this sector in the way we've been talking about what was going to happen with this, then you have to take advantage of that moment there. Just like last week and the week before, that Friday, buying on this dip here. This was just overselling. It's a significant error. It's a big mistake. These are people making a mistake. You have to know when that difference is, and that's why I try to point it out when it happens. Take advantage of the moment. That is the alert right there. The rest is confirmation. Now, tomorrow and this week's going to be very interesting as we come up into new resistance on some of these charts. Travel putting such a big move today, is it going to do as well tomorrow? No, it's likely a take profit day tomorrow. But is it going to be? Based on this week, there could be a lot of pressure pushing towards the upside, a lot of squeezing to the upside. It's going to be really interesting to see. Let's go take a look. I'm going to show you the dailies. This candle here on the Dow, it's not the greatest candle. Uptrend into a bit of a hanging man. Bit of a bearish candle there, right? Entirely possible that you're gonna come back. But guess what? The overall bullishness of this chart is gonna make it what it is, right? It's gonna make it what it is. Now, when you're in this position, let's say I'm gonna give like an example. I'm 100% in the market, no cash. Right? The only time I'm getting new cash is when I'm taking profit on moves. Didn't really take much profit today. There's things like X that got taken profit on, things like that. But for something like this, am I going to stop just because there's maybe a short-term bearish pattern right here, and we're at 33,000 on the Dow? The play, yeah, I've made a pretty sizable amount so far, and I'm right there. I'm very close to where I was expecting it to be. And first of all, it's only 15 days into the month. Expected it by April. This is just the preliminary target here based on this flag here. Do you just take profit today because it's like you're pretty close? No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to decide when the top is. So again, all these charts that you see continuing, you don't get to take profit today just because you're like, well, tomorrow. The only reason you do that, the only reason you take profit today is because if it does have a historical take profit day, if you know you're not going to be able to hold through that to push to the next day, then yeah, don't screw yourself, right? That's the only reason why you shouldn't be pushing things. We're risk on. The whole market's risk on. Look at the S&P, all-time high, back into all-time high today. This is with tech pulling it, right? Tech, it's 1% today. It's not the most, and it's significantly further behind than the rest of the indices. Small caps continue to push through all-time high today. This is all risk-on mentality. It's not stopping, guys. Everything's trending up still. It's just by how much, how quickly. That's the only question. The speed's the only question. And again, with everything being squeezed this week with the March monthlies, it should continue, right? So, yeah, you might get a little bit of a take profit tomorrow, but if you didn't take profit today, then you shouldn't be taking profit tomorrow when you already knew that was likely to happen. Gotta push through that and push to the next day, right? Let me take a look at the profit section real quick. Met 162. Brian 161. LSU minus 99. Spoon with another 4.5%. David plus 412. Seems like some good numbers, guys. Some good numbers. I don't really expect much today. I expect most people just pushing through, and there's not much going on today. So I'm not gonna criticize anybody or say anything today. McKee's says even. All right. What about tomorrow? Well, tomorrow is a good day for those of you that just woke up. You just woke up. You're gonna have some dip opportunities. You're gonna need to decide, well, can I buy it tomorrow? Well, you're gonna need to decide on things like travel. If travel has a take profit day tomorrow, same reason why some of you need to decide today whether you're gonna be able to push through that, or some of you gonna buy tomorrow. There's a lot of examples of this. Just using travel as an example. GE is the most recent example where you had this pullback here. Thursday, Friday, did you buy this? That's when you should have been buying. So when you have other charts that are doing this, uptrending, they're going to have a take profit day. Are you going to be willing to buy that? That's a question to be asking yourself. Question's also going to be on the pot stocks, those breaking out, possibly taking profit tomorrow, most likely. Also then on the tech side, are you going to get baited into tech? Are you going to get baited into wanting to go take everything that this has to offer here because you're like, well, it's got all-time high upcoming. Tomorrow is probably a very likely bait day. I see a lot of baiting over here. I see a lot of bait because, again, there's this whole level here. It's entirely possible that, again, we get a similar situation. You get a similar situation where you come up into the level and then you pull back. That's not likely since the whole market's risk on, but where do you want to put your money, right? What pullback buys do you want to be buying? Energy and banks pulled back today. Did you say, yeah, I saw a headline on Bloomberg that said, tech is up and energy and banks are down big. Okay, perfect then. Perfect. That's great. That's exactly what I want to hear for a new opportunity. Does it look like that? I mean, it's such a strange thing to say that tech was yes, that's the summary of the day, that tech was up, energy and banks were down. That's the literal move, but overall, no, right? So again, did you take advantage of this opportunity? Are you going to take advantage of it tomorrow? These are things that, again, you didn't need to, there was nothing to really do today. It's important to realize that today was pretty passive. Everything opened up higher. Everything traded sort of flat during the day. It's important to be able to understand on a day like that the only way you made money was if you entered on Friday, right? Now, there's trades that I posted on the weekend. I'm going to mention a few of these because, again, there's opportunities always popping up. Here's the CNNE trade. Here's the chart. Let me just load up the list. Here's that chart. Here's the Skechers chart. Some of you are going, Skechers? The hell do I care about Skechers for? Why do you need to know what the name is? Why can't you just trade the price? Yes, no trade. Oh, did I break my level? Yeah. Okay, take the trade. Take the trade. It's a retail store, right? It's on that side of the aisle. Take the trade. APLE, did you break the level? Yeah. Okay, take the trade. What are you doing? Well, the light trade that we've been looking at 100 times. That's probably going to gap up tomorrow and you're going to miss it. There was plenty of new opportunities today. There was continuations that, again, a lot of the problems that you had to solve are going to be how to push your positions, because the whole market's risk on. The whole market's risk on. And if you're not in a position, then you're not making money. And you're just sitting around watching price go by you. Again, this is where we are in the market. Some of you are going to do it with tech as well. Now, I'm not going to be going into long positions on tech. I take the short-term things that are there, but it's also a similar premise. But the point being is, as price continues to go up, a lot of you are watching it, and you're trying to find areas where you're like, okay, if it goes up to here, then I'll buy it. No, the whole point is that you need to be in before. How many weeks have we gone if you were just in position? Look where it is now, right? Some of you continue to not be in a position, and that's the where to be critical. That's the part to be critical on, because again, you got to take the chance when it's there. Otherwise, it's too difficult to get into the trade. How is anyone going to get into this trade now? You can't. No one's getting into this trade anymore. So again, the demand will fall off because the diminishing returns are in. You're going to get, maybe another day or two. Who knows what it is? But you can't just keep buying and buying and buying, right? There's eventually going to be some sort of consolidation. You need some sort of healthy price movement that is some sort of pullback that allows new buyers to come in, right? There's got to be something there, right? So again, you got to take the opportunities when they're there. So today, a little bit more difficult of a day. Few opportunities. There are just a few. Most of it came down to being able to push a position. That's the thing to be critical on. Look in hindsight, those of you that took profit weren't able to push a position. Look in hindsight maybe the rest of the week and see where it is, and also in how you should be re-entering. The biggest question is usually how to get back into positions after you took profit. You should be taking some of that home, right? You got to put it in the bank account, or it doesn't matter. It didn't exist to begin with, right? Looking at where the S&P is, trying to project sort of where is this going. Thinking the whole market's risk on right now. We're breaking back into all-time high. There's no supply. Tech has a lot of points to catch up that should help push this overall. Value's obviously been continuing to do its thing. Thinking about the speed here, even if we stayed on this trend, we're talking about significant amount of points. We're talking like percent or two a week here on this trend. It's going to be more than that, right? It's more than that because we have money still coming out of bonds. We have a lot of cash out there. If you look at where the dollar is, we just do a macro. Look where the dollar is. It's still elevated here, and the dollar is likely to get pushed further up due to the inflation idea and as yields increase. Now, yields have some room to maneuver still. They could come back, so the dollar could come back. That could be money coming back into equities. There's still the whole scenario where this is still down here. The money that's still waiting to go enter tech on like the Hang Seng and stuff is going to just enter the U.S. equity market, which it has been. A lot of this is rotating into value, into our side, right? So keeping some of this idea in mind, there's still plenty of cash out there. Liquidity's still there. So again, some of you that are looking at this going, well, we're at the all-time high. It's a little risky to be buying up there. You're just out of your lane. You don't know what you're looking at, right? Price doesn't need to stop. Yeah, price stopped before. That was rotation into value. And yeah, and you look at the average, it doesn't look like much, but again, these charts continue to trend to the upside. It doesn't need to stop. It doesn't need to stop. Z didn't do much of anything today. Just sat here. This chart got tied into growth a little bit. We took the trade from here on the trend line. If you took a long trade, you're still pushing that trade. Unless you, of course, took profit on Friday. This has got great trends. I would be, again, this is where you ask yourself, can I buy on this day? Can I buy on this day? If you're sitting around, you're not able to enter a position, they're out there. How do we feel about healthcare? I know it's bullish, but I know it isn't performing the way it was prior. You mean it's not going up like 6% a day? Why do I keep doing this with the Anthem chart, by the way? Oh, it's because it doesn't automatically go. XLV specifically. I don't know what. Just look at the chart. What do you guys think? Is this moving to the upside or is it slowing down? healthcare is bullish in the long term, right? Now, there's some short-term health, and we talk about the bio and sort of that space. And those tickers, some of those pop off randomly day to day. You could take those on breaks. Those big charts like United, Unum, Anthem, those are all trending to the upside. Even when you look at this here. Even when you look at this here on the average, these are all trading towards the upside from after that consolidation here. And again, when you specifically pick, when you're picking, I just posted this chart. I just posted the new Anthem chart. This is the one from back in February. This move here, right? This move here, we entered. That was 17%. Again, I talked about it every single day to go into the Anthem chart. Yeah, now that it's up 20%, it's really easy to be like, well, it only moved 30 basis points today. It moved 2% on Friday. Got rejected right at the resistance. You know when it breaks that, it's going to put some points on quickly. This was 20%. You know what that was on options? There was some contracts in there that were over 1,000%. There was marches that were over 1,000% from this move because this shit does not move very quickly. Doesn't move very quickly. Goes back and forth, swings back and forth. We're projecting that there's going to be higher value than before. We retraced quickly on this chart. We retraced really quickly. We were trading this through we were trading healthcare and bios that whole time during COVID, during the COVID breakdown, right? We traded all through there. This is a entirely different thing. Now it's very attached to the value side of things, but again, look at the momentum that gets created through here. And the biggest move is when it breaks through here. Again, I targeted up to the resistance. It's this move above here that really moving through this trend is significant. And no, it doesn't need to move every day. It's not going to move every day. It's a slower moving trend. It's like looking at energy or banks and then saying on one day you could look at one daily candle and be like, well, I guess it's not really moving that much. I mean, is it? I mean, it pulled back 2%. Look at these charts as direction. This is very much how that's going to move, right? When you look at this, it's really easy to throw all in here and be like, well, I mean, how do you feel about energy? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about banks? How do you feel about banks in here? I mean, yeah, it's kind of slowing down, right? Or is it? What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, maybe the healthcare sector. Well, this is tied into growth a little bit, and this is not the best average to use. XOV is not the greatest fucking average to use in the world, and that's why you can easily just pick out. You can pick out the others, right? Unum, yeah, I mean, yeah, it got rejected at resistance. Slowed down a little bit, right? Again, this is all that whole sector of healthcare is more bullish in the long term than value is. When I say value, I'm talking about right now. When we think about the tiers of this whole year, healthcare, I would say, is again number 2 in line. Right now, energy and banks are number 1 and number 2 in like the realized numbers of the whole year. This year so far, number 1 is energy and number 2 is banks in terms of the most points put on the average for a sector. Those are the most outperforming sectors right now. That's just the real numbers, not what I think. That's just what they are. That's what I did think. Now, what's it swinging into? What's it swinging into right now? Well, right now we kind of have this mix between travel and aerospace and defense has been leading in the last couple, in the last month or so, has done the most. We'll see what it turns into, but still energy and banks are number 1 right now. I would say, again, this comes in. Tech will still overturn the whole year, but that's later down the road. It's going to need to put points on. And it already just sort of has gains from earlier, right? But yeah, when you look at these healthcare charts, it's really hard to go, well, you know what? It slowed down. It's a little slower now, right? No, this is a fucking long term. These are all long term, and these have been the most clear trades ever, right? If you go look over here, this is what's in the Dow. When I talk about the Dow, this is what I'm talking about, right? United, BA, right? We're talking about the big boy charts, right? CAT. They're slow moving, but are they deniable? They're not deniable. You can't even say that, oh, maybe they're slowing down. These are just long term. It's just long term, right? It's really hard to make any argument against this move up there. So certainly still very bullish. No, certainly very bullish still. And it's the same thing. This is what's going to happen. I want to make sure we set the stage properly here. It's March 15th. I said the Dow was going to go to 34,000 by April. This was a month ago. or so. Or, I mean, technically it's the beginning of March, right? But I talked about it way back here for 34,000. We entered a lot of the plays over here. We were already trading value for fucking months. Not specifically the Dow that much. But I want you to think about this a little bit. You know what's going to happen is the first day that we get a lower low. We haven't posted a lower low since I posted this chart. We haven't posted a lower low yet. You know what's going to happen when the Dow doesn't go up one of these days? Now, it's been up every single day. It's been up every single day. Even this red day here is a green day. A green day. It's up on the day. The first day you get one of these, let's say tomorrow, it drops a little bit lower, is the day that the Dow's dead to the rest of the market. The headlines are going to be, oh, Dow's down today. And one of you in chat are going to go, hey, man, do you think this is still bullish? It'll probably be you, Brian. You'll go, hey, is the Dow still bullish today? Yeah, you'll do it, and you should do it. And again, the answer is going to be, does that one candle fucking change what you see here? What you see is what you get. You can't go, this one candle is going to completely remove the billions and billions of bets of dollars that got bet in here, right? It's just silly. It's silly, right? Cops are coming. Hold on. Okay, C-Trader, $3,000 today. I'd like to hear that story. Somebody cashed out some gains. Chris with the 3%. Awesome numbers. 3,000 sounds like a fun one. That's on par with the Cosa Nostra account. Pushing it all, he says. Oh, okay, unrealized. Awesome. Okay, some other charts. Other charts to talk about. We took the squaring PayPal charts down here. We talked about 4 over here when the trend line broke here. 4 is also continuing. These moves here, very important to keep pushing these as well and to not get into the situation where you can get sort of like what we just talked about, where you get like a take profit day tomorrow and then you go, okay, that was good. This was great. All of these are about pushing past the high, especially if any of your positions are tied to the growth side. This would be an example of something that's pushed to the growth side, but it's a better ticker than buying fucking Apple or something, right? I'd rather be in this position. Yeah, it's like a financial banking, whatever it is. It has some sort of +1 to it that I like more over some of the other tech companies, right? These situations here, you have a lot of points to go. I don't need to put a target on here for you. You don't need to go, hey man, can you draw some lines on the chart? You want levels? I'll post levels. There's not a pattern to some of these. It's just a bullish trade. The BA chart, I'm never going to draw a fucking line on the BA chart. It's never going to happen. But it's bullish. And you know it because I talk about it, right? You got to be able to make and push these trades further and continue with them. There's a lot of examples of these that, again, if you're not in them, then I don't know. What are you going to do? You got to... What about Rad? Can you go trade retail stores tomorrow? Can you go buy it on the trend line tomorrow here? Could you have bought this today? This trade here. What about WBA? I told you it was going to go to 55 at noon. Did you guys buy it when I told you to? Considering I control a significant supply here, what about back here when it was breaking? It didn't even break yet. Where was it? 12 o'clock. Here it is. We were at 54. We were at 54. I was like, it'll go to 55. I'm not going to sell here this time. I sold over here. And by sell, I mean like taking a few contracts off. Over here, I told you I wasn't going to take any contracts off. Look where price is here. 55. Are you going to get retail stores? Or are you just going to keep watching this move happen? You know what this is now? This is 1,300%. 1,300% now. What are you going to do? You're going to keep watching price for the rest of your life? The whole life, you're never going to make a trade. Some of you are still doing the same thing. I know people didn't trade this. Some of you did it as a joke, but you didn't put much money. Viacom. Now, I took some profit on this trade today. A lot of this has to do with the fact that you're running out of room on your contracts. You're running out of room. Expirations will do that. This was still up from the open. Another 7% today. Over 7%. Over 7%. So from Friday to here was almost 20%. If you took the trade from Friday, not to mention from the year before. Literally almost a year of price just trending up. Are you not, again, these are the trades to take, and especially when I keep bringing them up, these are easy trades to make. The hardest part is you just not hitting the button. That's the hardest part. It's nothing else. Everything else is easy about the trade. That's what, it's counterintuitive. This is significantly easier than your other trades. Why? Because the whole day is ahead of you. You buy it open and you're done. You're literally done. You don't have to do anything else. These trades, if they're not a part of your fucking portfolio, you're just missing the point. You're missing the point. I shouldn't have to bring these trades up every day, but I'm going to start bringing them up more and more. Continue to rub some of it like in all of our faces so we can keep looking at some of these trades and say, okay, why am I not making that trade? What am I doing that I can't make that trade? Again, that Viacom trade was from, if you took the trade from last week, was 2,000% from a fucking trade that keeps trending up. For holding a trade for 4 days and you bought at the money, you could have made 2,000%. Keep that in mind. Keep some of those in mind. Now, when you look through some of the lists today, there's a lot of things that, let me mention the DBX chart. The DBX chart, obviously we took the trade over here. You can do it 100 different ways. Take it for the trend line break. Keep pushing this trade, right? We keep pushing this trade. How do you manage this trade? When it reverses, gets rejected, when you transition, all of these things, there's an answer to all of these different situations, and it's always, it depends on your situation, the trade you're in. But you should always continue to make this trade. So let's say you took profit on Friday and you look to re-enter. Did you re-enter today? Did you let another 100% slip away when it moves up here tomorrow? These things matter. But overall, what I would say is there's a lot of tickers that have continued to be up, right? The whole market's risk on, everything's making money. You don't need to be, some of you just need to get into some of these trades and get involved with them, right? And sometimes it's just that one day that you're not. I know all of you are trading, but a lot of the times it's that one day that you didn't do anything that is the day that hurts you the most, because you're like, I'm not really sure what I want to get into. I want to make sure it's the best trade, and then you usually end up missing the best trade anyway. So a lot of the times it's just about being in something. I'm even saying, like, there's plenty of ways that you can just go trade something more tech related that's coming back if you need to, right? Short term. It's all there. It's all there. If we look at the EV side, that was the only thing that really took profit today on sort of this side of things that's a little different. Things like X took profit. These are opportunities again tomorrow if you didn't take these. Otherwise, I don't really know what else. Again, that's why I'm trying to stress everything's about pushing trades, because there's not really, if something took profit today, then it was likely coming off of a big day from Friday, which is, again, to be expected. So your only thing to do today was to push positions or buy those. If you didn't, then it's going to be very hard to do it tomorrow, unless it's pulling back again tomorrow to buy it, right? I don't know. I really don't know. There's nothing else to talk about. There's individual charts that every single time they break out, they continue to move. Value is the fucking golden gem, the thing to be a part of. If you can't get a part of the value trade, then just try to buy anything on the tech side. Again, the market's risk on this. The only fear there is that we're doing too well. When the only fear that people have in the equity market is that, wow, we're moving too quick to the upside. That's pretty fucking good, guys. Just keep trading. Everyone just keep trading. There's 100 different things you could trade at any given moment. Obviously, I try to bring up the most, what I think the best trade. And you know what? We're doing pretty well, right? Doing pretty well. Again, retail stores today, travel today, fucking blew it out of the water. You're getting at least a few 100% on those trades. If you're in them, you got at least a few 100%. I know. It's a minimum, right? We'll see. I don't want to talk too much today other than that. Because the rest of this week's going to be pretty action-packed. I think a lot of it again is going to come down to all of these March monthlies and the gamma squeeze, and so we need to be prepared. So I took a pretty chill day. Pretty chill, you can tell. Pretty chill day. Because the rest of the week, I think, is going to be pretty volatile. I don't mean spot VIX fear volatility. I mean just fucking spreads wide, right? A lot of movement. So be prepared. That means if you're not in position, it becomes a lot harder to be in position because you guys say $100 spread's too much for you. What if it's a few $100 spread? You're going to get into that? I'll see you guys tomorrow in the morning. Again, be prepared for some energy. I'm going to probably be pretty energized tomorrow because it's going to be, I just know there's going to be a lot of movement. And if there's not movement, then that's going to be exhilarating as well because it's going to be like, what the hell's going on here? Right? I've seen quite a few charts. I might post some of the charts that I said that I wasn't going to, just to make sure we're all on the same page. If you guys want individual levels, then definitely ask for them. Just fucking type the ticker in and I'll give you guys some levels. I know not everything is updated. I'll see you in the morning, so have a great night, morning, evening, wherever you are.